Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about why do they come back once you've let them go. Okay, so to give you some story time, basically, there was once a girl that I dated for a few months, and when I broke up with her, she came back into my life, and it seemed to be that she came back at a time when I had stopped caring, right? When I'd forgotten about the relationship pretty much, and I was moving on with my life essentially. Of course, I didn't actually forget about her, and we don't just develop amnesia when we break up with someone. But she came back into my life. She re-added me on Facebook and started messaging me and things like that. And I almost actually did meet up with her again, but I decided, you know what, there's a reason why I broke up with this girl. I don't really want to continue dating her. But all in all, basically, it's weird that it seems to be always when we let go of people that they start to crawl back into our lives. And I think what this is that sometimes when we don't chase, when we don't try and fight for a relationship, it confuses the other person, right? Especially even more so if the other person was the one that dumped you, right? So if we get dumped, right, if we don't chase that person after being dumped, it confuses them when we don't, right? And I think what confused my ex was that I dumped her and then I just went completely ghost. I didn't want anything to do with her anymore because that's how I felt at the time. I wasn't interested because she basically just completely turned me off of her completely, 100%. Basically, if you're interested in why that was, it's because she was a compulsive liar and she just made up so much stuff about her life that wasn't true. And yeah, I don't know what was going on there, basically. So that's why I broke up with her, because I couldn't stand these really weird, extreme lies, basically. But because I was like done, I was like, you know what, yeah, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in you whatsoever. Had no feeling there at all. That's when she started to come back, right? And that's after a few weeks. It wasn't that long, basically. So I think we need to get to a place where we are completely done with the relationship in order to do this effectively, right? In order to let them go effectively. So not chasing after them confuses them. And that works for people that you've dumped, or it even works on people that have dumped you. If you can just gracefully let it go and just go completely ghost and walk away from them, then and go into no contact, that really confuses them and it makes them seek out you, start chasing you, okay? Because they expect you to fight. They expect you to try and do something. They expect you to try and resolve things. So when you don't, and it appears like you don't care, that's what makes them feel a little bit like, oh, maybe I made the wrong choice there. Why are they doing that? It confuses them. It confuses their feelings. And in the midst of that confusion, they can actually come back into your life. So this is kind of like the equation that I figured out about this, right? And that is, you let go, right? And letting go equals detachment, right? And when you're being detached like that, when you've let go, that equals strength, right? And when you have this strength, and when you're displaying that strength, when you're displaying that emotional self-control of not trying to fight for the relationship, where you're not as messaging them anymore, where you've decided to walk away from them, that strength, because it's attractive, makes them more attracted to you. So strength equals attractiveness, right? So that's why sometimes people can come back into our lives when we've completely let them go, because we're now displaying strength. We're now displaying that attractive quality, you see, okay? So walking away and being emotionally strong is attractive, okay? Essentially, being unaffected by them is attractive, is magnetic, actually. Being unaffected is magnetic, right? So that's why it can kind of re-attract people into our lives, because now we've become indifferent. Now we don't mind if we get back with them or not. Now we don't care if they come back into our lives or not. And because we no longer care if they come back into our lives or not, it's almost like they can sense it, right? It's almost like they can tell that you've moved on, that you've let go. And if they've still got feelings for you, they're going to be drawn back to you, because that's what happened with my ex, that I told you at the beginning of this video. She still had feelings for me. She probably didn't want the relationship to end. And because she could tell or sense basically that I was gone and that I was moving on with my life and I was never going to reach out to her again, That's what re-attracted her. That's what got her to re-add me on Facebook. That's what got her to reach out to me and message me and start talking to me again. Because I no longer cared, basically. I let go 100%. And I got to a place within me internally where I had let go, right? And that's basically where we need to get to. That's where we need to get you, especially if you still really care about the outcome. If you really care about them coming back into your life. You need to get to a place internally where it doesn't matter if they come back or not, right? So that's where you got to get to inside. Now, the thing that I've seen with this, the only thing that I've seen that has worked, right, is time. So having time to move on. Because sometimes if you're still attached to someone, it's very difficult to move on from them. But with time, it's a lot more easier to move on from someone if you've given yourself a lot of time, okay? And also, what helps someone move on as well is if they've got to a place inside of them where they know, like where they really know that, this person's probably not coming back, right? So I'm just going to let go. I'm just going to move forward. Because if you're still hanging on to hope that they're coming back, then you're still attached in some way. You've got to get to a place where you don't hope for that anymore, where you don't really care as much, or you just know, they're not coming back. So you've got to assume basically that they're not coming back. You've got to assume that, and therefore you can then move on with your life. Like if you knew 100% that they were not coming back, it would probably be a lot easier for you to move on, right? But if you've still got hope that they're coming back, then maybe you're still looking out for that message. Maybe you're still looking out for signs that they're going to come back, right? Which keeps you stuck, which keeps you attached, right? So you've got to detach, right? So there's a good sort of like place or some things that I would really like you to think about, right? So that is, the reality is, right, if I get them back, that's good, right? Because I get them back because I still really want them back, or it would be nice if they came back into my life. But if I don't get them back, then that's also good because I can just find someone else, right? So that's what you've got to get to. You've got to get to a place where you don't mind either way if they come back or not. And even better, if you don't care if they come back or not. Because ultimately what I would want for you is you to move on completely, right? Because usually an ex is an ex for a reason. And I know that's a cliche saying, but the reason why it is a cliche saying and you hear it a lot is because usually there's some truth to it, right? If you hear a cliche over and over again, it probably means that there's some truth to it. And the same goes for the saying, an ex is an ex for a reason. So if you can find someone better than your ex, right? Someone better, someone who's more attractive, more nicer to you, you get along better, you're like best friends, something like that, then that's amazing. That's the best place to be, right? To find someone like that. And if you find someone like that who is more attractive, who you enjoy their company more of, right? You're not even going to care basically about this person anymore. This person that dumped you or rejected you. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.